Welcome back to the Eric Krown Crypto channel, wishing you a happy and healthy start to this nice hump day that we have over here for the last day of August. It's the last day of August, and we have to prepare for the month to come, that being September. So I won't be talking too much about short-term time frame analysis today. Basically, the same things that we're looking at from yesterday essentially still hold to fruition. We were saying, hey, look, for the past few days, Bitcoin's probably done going lower so far. It's held the range lows, and probably, while it does have a bit of a bounce in it, I wouldn't really be expecting, too much, I suppose. The range has to remain the same, essentially. So if you're interested in short-term time frame analysis, it's very little's changed. We might brush up on it a little bit later, but I do want to address the long term as we go into the month of September, as there's a lot of very higher term time frame ideas to be espousing here. Other than that, I want to quickly let you know that I've been posting like a madman on Instagram, both crypto related content, trading related content, and also unrelated content, which there is a link in the description below. And then obviously Bybit's got their promotion going on as well. $1,000 US dollar deposit for $1,000 in Ethereum contract position. A lot of fine writing on that one. However, there is a link in the description below. It's just the Bybit link right there. Yes, it's not necessarily fully related to it, but it will award you those privileges. And then you can read on their website what the actual, the fine print is for that, as it's a little bit more than just deposit $1,000 as always. Anyways, getting on into it over here for Bitcoin as we wrap up the last day of, I almost said September, but August in this case. We do want to be aware of the statistical relevancy of September for both Bitcoin and traditional markets, actually, which is typically the biggest down month, statistically speaking. So again, on this channel, we focus mainly on statistics and probabilities. That, of course, does not mean certainties. So we're just going off the past here. And so I want to address something first and foremost here. I've been seeing a lot of interesting ideas about how US midterms are going to make everyone fucking bullish. And hey, fair enough, maybe it does. But the thing is that if you actually back to September, coming into even the last few midterms, well, the results, let's just look at them. I mean, there's no more to do than that. So September 2020, what do you know? Fucking down month, right? So it's a presidential year, but even that one was down. 2018 down again, another 17.7%. What about 2016? That one was actually up, to be fair. And then 2014 big down, and so on and so forth. So you get the idea. Anyways, the reason why I bring this one up is because 9 out of the overall 13 Septembers that Bitcoin has weathered have been down. So that's 69%. 2 of the remaining 4 that were not down were basically just sideways closing unchanged. So I would even say that that's more like 11 out of 13 at best. And 2 of them did close decently up. So, hey, fair enough. I would say these statistics are not so comforting for boo laws in that case, but teach their own, right? That is a judgment call. As far as the actual data goes, the average down for the down months have been about 28.5%, and the first deviation, which represents what we expect kind of 68% of the results to encompass, would be between 16.35% all the way up to just under 41%. So this one completely depends upon where we actually close today before we start to apply this data. But if we were to theoretically close basically exactly where Bitcoin's at right now, just above 20,000 bucks, shaving off about 16% off current price action would put Bitcoin about 17,000 bucks or so. Yeah, about 17,000. If it were to go all the way to 41%, well, that obviously puts you much further down, somewhere closer to about 12,000 in this case. So a much greater dumbola party right there, as you can see. Anyways, I want to bring this up because, again, statistics do, at least in my opinion, matter. And well, I think that is an interesting thing to be aware of nonetheless, especially when we combine it with this next chart over here. So this is the monthly accumulation distribution indicator chart. I really only check on it a couple times a month, basically at the beginning and end, because that's, it doesn't update until the end of the month, obviously. And what's interesting about this chart is that it kind of it kind of corroborates the story of the prior chart that we just looked at, in the sense that what you need to be aware of here is that we've never, ever seen a Bitcoin macro cycle low without the accumulation distribution indicator, 1, getting red, which it obviously already is, and then 2, getting somewhere reasonably close to the green horizontal line that my cursor is currently on. If you back test this, you can see, yep, gets the lows right here, actually perfectly. Over here, basically within a month, I mean, on a closing basis, basically was it. And again, in March 2020, for the old flu dump, there is one iteration where that is actually not true. It's back on over in May 2012, but I would argue that Bitcoin was just too young for this data on a monthly to really populate, and it still actually got the move pretty damn good nonetheless as far as the actual momentous turnaround to the upside. In this case, that would suggest that, we're very close to this line. Yes, very, very close to this line. So hey, best case scenario, if you want a little bit of hopium, Bitcoin at least probably tries for a major low sometime in September, but that would imply that it goes, further south first. So the question is, how far down does it go? Well, if we measure on this indicator from the time that the indicator turns red, so in this case, this would be right here in January 2020, as you can see, to the time where it actually hits the low along that green horizontal line, we can measure the percentage dump. And well, the average correction measured is about 61.34%, which if we apply to that, if we apply that to the current segment, that would actually forecast a price somewhere around about $15,500. Again, these are averages, not certainties, and these are statistics, not certainties, obviously. But it kind of puts us in the same realm as what we observed over here on this chart, which I do think is rather interesting. So to put in perspective as well, I do want to add that as of now, we have seen about a 55% move to the downside since that signal was born. So, are we within the realm of possibility? Certainly yes. Definitely yes. In fact, it's actually very close to what the drop down was in starting September 2020, I should say, or sorry, not 2020, but September 2018 to the low in 2019, or December 2018 into the beginning of 2019. So again, small percentages here make a pretty big difference, obviously, but anywhere within that realm, I would start to really be looking for at least entertaining the possibility of like a major low being put in. Maybe it's even a macro low as well. Possible, yes, but I'd really hold back on saying anything further than that as of right now. Moving on to the next chart, I wanted to bring this chart back. This is the 2-day time frame chart. This is the 2-day time frame chart that represents stochastic volatility versus stochastic momentum. Stochastic volatility is this moving metric right here that my cursor is currently on. Stochastic momentum is this metric right here that my cursor is currently on. Sorry, I've been dealing with like a lack of sleep for 3 to 4 to 5 days now. It's just weird. Like I keep on waking up at fucking 4:30 and just can't go back to bed. I don't know what it is. Too much on the mind. Too much on the damn mind. But you know what? It's okay. It's okay. The day will come. Now, won't it? Who the fuck knows what I'm saying right now? I definitely don't. All right. So on this chart, let's talk about something that I actually do fucking know about, but regardless of my sleep patterns. So in this case, looking at stochastic momentum, anytime that we have seen it get down to extreme lows, which I define as basically anywhere around, this green horizontal bar, which is represented by all of these past iterations that you can see along the green vertical bars, the expansion phase from those extreme lows has led to an average move of about 39.5% over the course of 3.5 weeks. The stochastic momentum oscillator, this part right here, has gotten the correct direction on that volatility expansion for about 87.5% of the time. And the first deviation, which represents, again, 68% of the result, lies between about 32% all the way up to just under 47%. So I do think that this is rather interesting here because we do have a very obviously positive slope, as we said, was likely coming into last night's closure. So that condition has now been fulfilled. And momentum remains to the downside, as you can see, and will be remaining to the downside as long as Bitcoin is closing on a 2-day time frame on CME specifically below 23,600 or so. So does that mean that Bitcoin's doomed to go to the downside? Again, this is statistics, not certainties, but it does align with the highly probabilistic nature that if we are going to see this move happen, it probably happens, around the heart of September, like that midpoint of September, I suppose, because the average days taken is about 3.5 weeks. So kind of adding that to where the signal actually began, which was theoretically, the 25th of August. Where would that put us? Let me see, 1, 2, like the second or third week of September, like from the 7th to the 15th, somewhere around there. Would be kind of fair game. So in the short term, does that mean that Bitcoin can't rally up? Sure, surely it can, until this signal is actually negated, where the price action will be above the actual pivot, which does change every 2 days, by the way. So theoretically, that could happen. I would say that, statistically speaking, risk remains lower. So fair enough. That is to say that any sort of a bounce that fails to reclaim 23,600 basically is irrelevant as far as I'm concerned for this current analysis. Again, that will change each and every 2 days. Anyways, applying these percentages from the actual signal given, which we do have in this case, we could look at the first standard deviation, about 32% to 47%. And if we were to shave off about 32% of the price, that puts Bitcoin at around $15,500. If we go all the way to 47%, well, obviously significantly more. That's where you get the 12,000 number coming up yet again. So fair enough. That it's kind of, in my personal opinion, it's actually quite difficult for me to see Bitcoin going down there, like from here. As of right now, I do think that if there's going to be like a trappy situation, it probably happens from around here, maybe like a slightly lower low at 16 and a half or 15 and a half, something like that. But it does seem to me that things are a little bit too easy right now in that sense. And many people are thinking along the same lines from what I can gather. Again, though, we kind of live, or at least I live in my echo chamber. So I don't know if that's representative of the whole market. Obviously, it can't be. Like, I'm not talking to fucking everyone, but you know, still of interest, I would say. Anyways, we're 10 minutes into this video. Is there anything else that I really want to be speaking about right now? I guess we can quickly go over the short-term timeframes. I'm not, like I said, I'm not super enthusiastic about them right now. It's the same shit as what we were looking at yesterday, right? We were looking at range lows, basically, you know, at the current low, at wherever the 29th low was right there. Bitcoin holds it. Yes, that's fine. Is it putting in some potential hidden bearish divergence right here between this point and this point? Yes, that'll be between this high and this potential high right here. That'll be confirmed below about 20,000 bucks again on closing basis. So at that point, you know, do you look for another move back down to that range low? I mean, perhaps yes. Like I said, I'm really not too enthusiastic about this lower term time frame right now. The only thing that I'd really have to, I mean, there's nothing really that's changed as far as that goes. You know, as far as range highs, still looking basically around that 20,700 region to 20,900 region. Closure above there, and I'd be looking for extension all the way to 21.7, and you know, that would be an interesting move. And of course, to the downside, you know, take out yesterday's low, even just trade below yesterday's low, and very likely going to see $19,000 even, and maybe even lower than that in the short term. But looking at stochastic momentum, you know, I do think that it'd be a little bit less likely maybe for that to happen today. 12-hour stochastic momentum remains to the remains to the upside as long as Bitcoin's above 19.6. If we go to the 6-hour, the momentum is to the upside as long as Bitcoin's above 20,100, which is actually not really above right now. So fair enough. You know, maybe there's another down swipe in the short term. 4-hour turns to the downside below 19.8, and hourly is probably gonna be down if I had to guess. No, it's still up, but turns down below 20,000 bucks. So, you know, again, I don't really have strong opinions on this that haven't been said as of yesterday. Same old range, essentially 20,900 high versus basically yesterday's low. So other than that, the real focus is on the higher term timeframes, and I think I'll leave it right there. I want to be wishing you the best as always. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully soon.